Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode with your boys Don Benito and Pastor D. What's good, my dude?
All is well, chilled
Yeah, yeah,
vibes.
yeah, yeah. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. It's always good to see you, bruh.
Yeah, man, likewise. Likewise.
And today, this is our catch up episode, part two, where we'll be diving into the ins and outs of United, trying to figure out how we can move forward, what's next for the club, new signings, outgoings, incomings, injuries. Outgoings, I'm talking director of football, director of football and CEO, the works.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
get it here on Glory Reds. So D, my guy, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Right
yeah,
into
man.
it.
Yeah,
So
man. Like,
today,
y-
uh-huh.
now go ahead.
No, I have a problem. Something that
Okay.
has just taken the wind out of me.
Yeah,
And it's very, very sad. Rasmus Hoyland picking up an injury, and
yeah,
he could
yeah,
be out for 3 weeks, man. I don't know
yeah,
how you felt when you found out about that news, but hey, man, it it just made
yeah,
me feel some type of way. I'm like, really? This
yeah,
boy has just been going on a run. He's the youngest player in the Premier League to score, I don't know in how many games consecutive. He was slowly finding his form, not slowly finding his form. He was getting into his goal scoring mood,
yeah,
and then setback. What do
yeah.
you think this is going to do for us, man?
Yeah, man. Honestly, man, I think this is gonna be a major blow for
Mm,
us moving forward. And it sort of reminds me of Martial. We tend to have this problem with forward players that whenever they get into their form, get into a good stride, start scoring goals consistently for us, like giving us exactly what we need, then we always end up in a situation where they get injured and they're out. And then when they return, it's not usually like a good return. It takes them some time to get back up to speed. So I'm really
mm,
hoping that it's not gonna be the case with Rasmus Højlund. Like I really hope that when he gets back to his stride. You check. I do understand obviously the injury is gonna take an impact and he has to get back his fitness levels up again, etc. But yeah, man, honestly, I'm worried. I'm worried
mm.
because like he's been one of the most consistent players we've had in these past 6 games. I mean, we've literally gone 6 games undefeated, 5 wins, 1 draw, and he has been a huge part of that. So
Yeah.
losing him, man, man, it's so devastating because it's not only him, it's a lot of players that are also injured in combination. So now we're sort of back to like figuring out who do we
Oh,
play in
days.
this position, who are we going to have, and the only thing that I can assume right now is that Rashford is going to be taking this the center forward position because Martial is still injured, and that's basically all our striking options. So Rashford obviously is going to be playing that striker role, and we know that Rashford still hasn't yet got back up to speed. So a lot of the goals that have been coming in for us have been coming from Rasmus. This spell when we've been having like a good run of games, so him missing from this squad, man, honestly, it's depressing.
Mhm.
I just don't have that how can I say that faith, you know what I mean? That like
Mm,
confidence going into games anymore because it's like okay, like I said, he's been scoring goals for us. So where are the goals gonna come from, right?
mm.
Obviously we have Garnacho who's also been playing very well. I can't remember the last time he scored in the previous game, yeah, or did he assist or something like that? But
No.
yeah, man, like we're really going through a goal scoring drought. If I'm not mistaken, our goal difference is at zero you know, and we need to start picking up more goals. And now one of our most formidable strikers who has picked up form is now injured. So honestly, I just don't know how Ten Hag is going to navigate through this. And it's not only on him, of course, but it's also up to the players. And honestly, like for Rashford, this is a huge opportunity for him to step up, and not in the sense of he's going to replace Rasmus as a forward player, but for him to now start, assuming that role and scoring goals like how he was scoring last season. So I just
If
hope that he can step
play.
up to the mantle and really take this opportunity to be like, okay, cool. Rasmus is injured. I need to step up. I need to start scoring goals where he was scoring goals, and hopefully
Mm,
this could be his resurgence back into being a prime okay, he's already back in the first team, but you know what I mean, like getting back to goal scoring. Because if Rashford can pick up his form, during these 3 weeks where Rasmus is injured, start scoring goals, it's only a positive for us. Because then we
Mm,
know when Rasmus gets back, we know Rashford's back on goal scoring form, Rasmus is on goal scoring form, and Garnacho is always in the mix of things. So if we can have all our three players firing at goal and they're on form, man, yeah. But just to answer your question straight, like
mm.
how I feel about this, it's depressing, man. I just
You,
man, I just
you
can't
know, you
imagine
said
this squad without Rasmus.
you said something that was very interesting, and you said, because Rasmus is injured, this should now give Rashford an opportunity. Like it should show him that he needs to step up. When
Yeah,
you said that, I was like, that's a very good point, D. But at the same time, it's like Rashford shouldn't wait for somebody to get injured. He shouldn't wait for
yeah,
Rasmus to pick up this thing for him to now, like, okay, the main focus is now injured. You guys focus on me. Like it's time for
yeah,
me. No, 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 no. He needs to be stepping up every game, you know, but he needs to step up even more now. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because Rasmus was scoring with the little chances that he was getting. Two chances, two goals. One chance, one goal. And those goals carried us for 90 minutes just to say. Now, if
mm,
Rashford and Garnacho are not going to try and figure things out and try and put in those chances that they usually squander, man, it's going to be an issue for us. But
yeah.
speaking of, I mean, Rasmus has picked up this injury, and there are rumors that somebody from the academy is going to come in and step up. Um, I'm hearing Forsen, his name. Forsen,
Yeah,
they keep throwing his name there. Now, when I heard that Forsen was being brought in, there was only I didn't think he was a striker. In
same
fact,
here.
when I heard that they were bringing in a kid from the academy, I don't know why, but my mind just went to Hugo and McNeil. I'm like, what's
Yeah,
happening to those young strikers that we have been marinating for years? Because those boys, we have been marinating them for years. And I
yeah,
think McNeil, I think he's the one from City who is scoring ridiculous numbers. Hugo, those boys are strikers. Why?
yeah,
What's happening with them? Why are they
mm,
not being brought in to this kind of situation? But then it hit me. It smacked me. I remember Eric Ten Hag talking about the academy. He said that if you're good enough, you're old enough. If you're old enough, you're good enough to play. And he will not just bring any youngster into the first team if he doesn't believe that the kid has got the right tools to actually handle the pressures of being in the first team.
yeah,
So I'm very interested to see how Forsen does, because
yeah,
honestly, Eric Ten Hag so far has not got it wrong with the youngsters. And it's something that I
yeah,
actually wanted us to like point out, because every
yeah,
time he has brought somebody in, and obviously we know from his previous club Ajax that he was the guy that was giving opportunities to kids. And
yeah,
I think with him, he's the one manager where we are really seeing a resurgence of the academy, like the youth are really coming in one after the other. They're coming into the first team, showing the qualities that they have and showing that they want
yeah,
to be part of that. So I
yeah.
don't know, man. What do you think? Do you think
So
this
you know what? Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think a lot of these situations, and I don't know if it's coincidence, fortune, or whatever. But if you look at the past decade or so, let me just say decade, not even let me not even say or so. If you look at the past decade, a lot of these academy players that have been integrated into the first team, maybe the only
Mm,
player I can say it wasn't under this circumstance was Scott McTominay. But a lot of them came into the first team is because we had shortfall of players. A lot
yeah,
of players were injured, and so they had no choice but to grab these players from the academy. So when you look at Kobe Mainu, right? Like he will okay, let me even start with Rashford. Rashford was brought into the squad because at that time all of our strikers were injured. And that was the time when we did that major clear out of getting rid of Van Persie, Chicharito,
it was the Van
what
Gaal era.
you know what I mean? Exactly. So
Mm,
when you look at the academy players that were being brought in like that was due to shortage of players and injuries. So when you look at
yeah,
Kobe Mainu, yes, he was always going to be part of the first team, and then unfortunately suffered that injury at the beginning of the season. But even when he was brought in this time, it was because Casemiro was injured, Sofian Amrabat was injured, and Ericsson got injured. So we literally had no other choice but to start him, right? And that's how he ended up playing in the first team. Like that's how he ended up being in the first team from minute zero. Like he wasn't brought in later on during the game. We had no choice but to play him. Now I'm not saying that Kobe Mainu did not deserve to start or did not have the abilities to be in that team. But because of the circumstances, that's how he ended up just finding himself in the team, right? So now, Garnacho's a different story, because he obviously showed his abilities. He was being slowly integrated into the team last season, and then this season he became a regular starter. So when you look at a player like Forson, I don't see him starting immediately because we don't. Yes, we have a shortfall of strikers, but we don't have a shortfall of forwards who are already ahead of him in terms of options of starting in that first team. So that's why I'm assuming that Rashford would definitely take that striking position. I don't think he would. I think we're playing, is it Fulham next or something? I don't think he would go ahead and start Forson up front and then keep Garnacho and Rashford on either flanks. I think Forson will probably come later on in the game. And I during these 3 weeks that Rasmus is injured, I don't think we're gonna see a lot of I don't think there's gonna be a game where he's playing 90 minutes, right? You'll probably just be brought into the team just to, you know what I mean, soften the load on the front three players. So, they're not playing so many minutes or whatever. Albeit yes, we're out of almost all competitions except for FA Cup. But still, in that regard, unless Rashford and Rasmus were injured, then I do believe that, yes, there's gonna be a possibility of him starting from the jump. Also, given the fact that we've not got rid of, but, Pelestri's out on loan. Ahmed apparently is not yet fully fit to start in that squad. But if that was the case, then
So who do
yeah,
you
I could
replace
I could
him?
say
Who
that
do
he
you
would
replace
directly
Hoyland with?
go Hoyland Rashford, straight up. Like he's the only player right now in the squad that has played in that forward position, and there's no
No, no,
other
no.
player that.
You for the Fosun, because you said you don't think that he could start. Okay, let's just say his minutes are
Yeah,
managed. That
yeah,
maybe he comes in, he starts, and then he's dropped, or he comes on later. So in that case, let's just say he doesn't
yeah.
start. Who replaces Hoyland? Because obviously the replacement for Hoyland is Rashford. So who takes Rashford and who takes Ganacho's position? Because we need to fill in if
Anthony,
Fosun doesn't start. Anthony.
Anthony. Yeah.
I believe Anthony has lost his place. I don't know. What do you think?
I I don't think he's lost his
He's
place.
dropped
I
down
just
the
think
pecking
that
order.
yeah, he's just gone down the pecking order because Garnacho is playing better than him. So I don't think he's lost his place because he still comes in, right? So in this situation, I see just Anthony getting straight back into the team, right? Because if Forston's gonna start ahead of Anthony against Fulham, then that sends a real big message to Anthony, to the fans and everybody else. And I don't think that Ten Hag will take that risk, given his recent press conference where he backed Anthony. When the journalists were asking about Anthony, like, has he been a flop because he spent so much money? And Ten Hag's
Yeah.
like, look, I believe in his talent, and that's why we brought him in. It's just for him to find his talent and do well in training and prove himself to get his position back, right? So he hasn't completely fallen out. So I still believe that Anthony will start ahead of Forson, and Forson will be introduced later on in the game unless I just haven't watched or seen so much of Forsen, for me
So it's
to give like an
that you
absolute answer to say, look, Forsen definitely right now is playing way better football than Anthony, and he's better suited to start in the next game ahead of Anthony. Because like I said, if that's gonna be the case, then it just man, again, it questions the things
look
that
at
Ten
it
Hag
this way,
says in the
dear.
media, because you can't go and strongly back a player and then drop him for an academy kid. And no disrespect when I'm saying that, but just in the sense of Anthony still holds seniority in that squad over academy players. So if he's gonna be dropped from an academy player who hasn't seen any Premier League game time, then man, that's just major call for concern. Honestly, it's major
But
call
see,
for
for
concern
some,
because
you
there
know,
are other options. There are other options, and not to say Maybury and whatever, and those other players can be in that position. But look, the players that we have at United, there's so much rotation you can make before you even think about playing Forsen. So, like I said, unless Forsen is that good like Kobe Mainu, where we just don't know what we haven't seen yet, I still don't see him because Ben, he can easily go Bruno wide. right? You can easily start Bruno, Garnacho, and Rashford up front, and in the
Yeah,
midfield go with his favorite players, Scott
McTominay,
McTominay and
Amrabat,
Kobe Minu
whatever.
and Brobbert. Do you get what I'm saying? There's so much rotation that can be made in that game before even considering starting Forsen. So if Forsen starts, fam, I'm expecting to see Kobe Manu shit from him. You know what I'm saying? I'm expecting this kid to blow my mind and be like, what the fuck? You know? But as it stands right now, and I'm not taking any credit away from Forsen. I'm just saying I haven't seen him play, enough minutes. Like obviously I've seen him play here and there, but I
Mm.
haven't seen enough of him to convince me that he's going to drop a first team player, whether that's a first team starter or a bench player or whatever. I just don't see him starting from minute zero. I can't see it. I honestly can't.
Conflicted because I didn't think if we dropped if Hoyland was to get an injury, I didn't think we needed to go back into the academy to
Exactly.
find somebody to replace because we have players in
Yep.
abundance. So it
Yep.
was strange for me because I was like, okay, you're bringing in Forsen. This guy's a winger. We have Ahmad. What's going on with Ahmad? And with
Exactly.
Ahmad, I want to mention that in as much as it's frustrating me, I would rather he stays. Like I prefer we bubble wrap him. I don't know what it is about these players that
Mm.
are very talented, and you just need to manage them and protect them. It's like that story they were talking about Van Persie. They were like when
Yeah.
he came into the squad there, the manager was like, "This guy doesn't train with you guys. He trains by
Yeah.
himself there. He does his own thing. Do not kick Van Persie.
Yeah.
Do not hurt him. Do not nothing. This guy
Yeah.
will win the league for us. So
Yeah.
if they are doing that in that sense, then maybe. But I would rather he stays protected, and then when he's
Yeah.
fully fit, comes back
Yeah.
and he does
Bring him
his
in the
thing.
squad.
You know
Yeah, I
what I
hear
mean?
you.
Having said that, I wanted to mention Anthony, bro. I think
Yeah.
the evidence is in the pudding because when you look at these past few games that we have played, he hasn't really played a huge role, even
Yeah.
not coming in as a sub. And that is
Yeah.
the thing that has been worrying me because I'm like, if they are going to have the nerve to talk about a youngster who we haven't really seen much of, we have seen him, but we haven't seen much,
Yeah.
and ignore the Antonys, ignore the Ahmads, ignore who else is there that we can just plaster in the.
Maybe
Maybe he came back.
I'm not sure.
Maybe no, maybe he's still back at what is it, Sevilla. But I
Really?
don't know if he's back because yeah, he has a problem with them.
Oh, yeah,
He's
yeah, 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 yeah.
that
Yeah, yeah,
guy
yeah.
just stay at United. We need him at United. I want him at United.
Yeah.
He's that rough,
Yeah,
up
yeah,
around the edges player
yeah.
that we need.
Yeah.
Nobody else can contain him. He can only give the respect to
Yeah.
United, not everybody else. So yeah.
Yeah.
So having said that, yeah, I was just worried about Anthony, man, because
Mm.
I want to go back into that thing that he talked about because I believe that I still think there's a player in there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at this at this point of the season, with everything that we have gone through, we just needed our players to have a little bit of thick skin, to brush out the noise that's going on out there and just work on it. But I do need to point out that Anthony did mention nice to just always to just be blasting these players. You know what I mean? Not even
Yeah.
talking about, not even trying to consider their feelings and all those things that have been that they're going through in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like there's something going on with him. That's why he's not able to play football because I believe a football player, when he's settled and happy, a happy footballer is a very good footballer. And I don't think
Yeah.
Anthony is happy, and I don't know. It's almost like I'm a hypocrite because I've gone in on him. I've been like, nah, I'm not happy. I'm not, and without considering. But I don't know what you think about that. Do you think that is something that we need to take into consideration about Anthony?
Yeah. 100%. Because the thing with Anthony, I think for the most part of his spell at United, there's nothing good that's been going for him, right? There's no ex players that have talked highly about him. There's no journalists that have backed him. Like he's always under the crossfire. And then to make it worse, he had that incident last year with the ex girlfriend, which didn't help his case. And then just to add, more to that, his price tag as well, because they were thinking everybody thought getting Anthony was like, one of those solutions that we needed to solve, or one of those problems that we needed to solve. So we bought him as like a solution, and he didn't live up to that solution. So I think all of this is definitely taking an impact on him. Every time he turns on, the news or TV, whatever, journalists are always speaking ill of him. I mean, literally in this previous press conference, even the way they addressed Ten Hag about Anthony, it was just in this attacking, violent sort of,
Yeah,
degrading sort of way. Like, you bought this expensive flop of a player. Are you thinking of getting rid of him? You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? And
yeah,
obviously, these players, it's not like they don't see what we see. It's not like they don't watch the press conferences like how we do. And then also, like you mentioned, is he's also now been not replaced, but dropped out of that first team. By this youngster who has come from the academy, and everyone's making noise about Ganacho, and no one's making noise about him. And
mm,
it's almost like he also can't play the type of football he wants to play because that also gets questioned. He
yeah,
does his skill, he loses. You know what I'm saying? And now it's like,
yeah,
okay, like how do I approach this situation? Right. And I'm not saying that's what he's thinking or whatever, but I'm just trying to get into the mind of the player. If I was in his shoes and how
mm,
I would, be feeling going through all of this that he has gone through. So definitely he's in a difficult position, and it's something that we have to understand and consider to say, you know what, I think a lot of this stuff is just taking a toll on him. And you mentioned it also when we spoke about Elanga, when you're like,
mm,
coming to United, it's a big club, like that pressure for you to, always achieve and do all these things. And worse, if you're a young player that has been brought in, like I said, to solve a problem, and then you don't do it. At least with
yes,
players like Elanga, they never had that pressure because they will step up from their academy, and it's not like they were bought for a ridiculous amount of money. He's gone to
mm,
Nottingham, his mind is free, he doesn't have that pressure, etc. Anthony's definitely feeling the pressure, whether he wants to admit it or not. It is what it is. You're playing for the one of the biggest clubs in the world, and right now we're on a journey to become great again. So the pressure
mm,
is on every single time. I mean, the manager literally says we're playing every game like it's a cup final. So imagine the type of pressure that's being put on your head every time you step onto that pitch, and your manager is telling you in the dressing room like, "This is a cup final. We need the 3 points. You have to go out there and you have to perform." So that definitely puts pressure on the players, and if you can't handle the pressure, then you get
hard
dropped,
work.
unfortunately, So, yeah, man, that's my thoughts on the Anthony situation. So, I don't know. I don't know what he needs to do to figure it out, but he really needs to figure it out really fast because there are a lot of players that are contending for his position. Garnacho has just been moved to his position, and he's balling, right? And they
Yeah,
still Ahmed who still needs to get
he
100% fit,
terrifies
and he's a
everyone.
we still have Pelestri who is on loan coming into this, who's gonna be coming back into the squad. He's a baller. You check what I mean? So it's competing against 3 players for that number 1 spot. That means every time he steps onto that pitch, he just has to be doing the most.
The worst
He
part
can't
is
get in. Yeah.
the ones that are gunning for his spot are younger than him.
Yep. Yep.
Competition
That pressure is
is
real, fam. That pressure is real. But yeah, man. Yeah, I guess that's my thoughts on that. And I think it's safe to say we can leave this one to rest. And let's move on to more, positive news.
yeah, yeah,
Um yeah, so it's Sir Jim. It's official. It's official now. He's stake in the club. And
mm,
our last catch up episode, the first one that we
mm,
did, we spoke about him coming in the club and talking about um renovating the club, rebuilding the club, whatever. And now he's making moves to bring in a director of football. So it really seems that he's really taking things into consideration. And before we segue into this section, right? I just want to read
yeah.
something from his interview
All
that
right.
he did when he was officially announced and whatever. And
Yeah.
basically, the reporter asked him like, "Do you have any message to the fans?" Right? And this is what he had to say. So he says, "So the message to the fans." I think absolutely our priority with Manchester United is to perform on the pitch. So we want Manchester United to be challenging for the Premier League, challenging for the Champions League. That's what Manchester United is about. It's the greatest club in the world. So it should be playing the greatest football in the world, but it's not a light switch. We can't just switch a switch and all of a sudden United's going to be playing football at the level of Real Madrid because they haven't been for the last 11 years. That takes time and it takes a bit of patience, right? So with that message, right? Obviously, he went to say other stuff, but I just wanted to read that out loud. And I like what he has said
Me
because
too.
when he speaks like this versus when the Glazers speak, you can see that this guy's a football man. All right. You can see that he understands like
I was about to
what it
say, which
takes.
Glazers speak? When do they speak?
Exactly. When do they ever speak? Those guys know nothing about football. You can see
Bruh.
that this guy, with the little influence that he's going to have, I definitely see some positive change happening. And also, like what he mentioned, like this thing is not a light switch. You don't just switch on, switch off. It's going to take time, right? You're not going to all of a sudden become like Real Madrid if you haven't been playing like Real Madrid for the past 11 years. So he's really
Yeah.
employed us to like practice patience. Now, with that statement that he has put out, I really hope it's going to transcend to the manager as well, because if he's saying that we need to practice patience to get to where we need to be, like I really hope those rumors of Gareth Southgate and all of this and all of that and Ten Hag may face the axe, whatever. I really hope that those are just rumors and it stays like that. Because if he's coming out and saying that it's gonna take a bit of patience, you know, then he also has to trust that Ten Hag is the right manager to see us through this journey. And we have to be patient with him. So
Mm.
when all these things are now taking place of the reconstructing of the stadium, bringing in a director of football, Ten Hag was speaking about, working hand in hand with with the football director, looking at the type of profile of players that you want to get into the club. As you know, I watched this very interesting video. It was like shot 4 years ago, and I'll send you the link to it so you can check it out later. But they're basically interviewing Dan Ashwood, and they're talking. So speaking with him, the time I think when he was at Brighton, and you're like how they approach the whole thing of managing the football club, and they were basically asking like what's the responsibilities of the football director, right? So I'm just gonna paraphrase and summarize, but basically he said that it's about building a philosophy and building a way of how the football is going to do all sorts of things like player recruitment, training, the way the football club plays, everything like that. Basically putting a system in place, and he said that's really important because even when a manager decides to leave or a manager is sacked, because you already have that system in place of how you do things are not going to change, right? And he spoke about it's not good to chop and change managers all the time because they come in with different philosophies, different ideals, different ways of playing football, and it ends up messing up that thing that you're trying to build. You check. So he says that putting that system in place, is beneficial to the club, the fans, everybody as a whole. Because even when I mentioned like when a manager leaves and a new one comes in, they're basically just coming in to continue what's already in place, and you don't have to now start figuring out okay this and that and that and that and that. Obviously, you did mention that Premier League is a crazy league. Managers don't survive for long, which is sad. Because they're not given that time to develop into that role and into the system and whatever. But it really put that emphasis on building a system at a club, a philosophy, a way you buy players. That this club want to get it to this level, so we need to get this type of profile of player, right? That should be the watch quiz, the brief. So when every manager comes in, they don't come in with their own way of thinking or whatever, whatever. Like this is what we do. This is how we want to do it. So if you want to bring this, flamboyant or whatever, and all these type of players, whatever, whatever, we're gonna see if that player fits into this profile of where we want this club to be and how the development is taking place. If that player doesn't fit into this module, then we're not gonna entertain it. So Ten Hag even spoke about, say, we're going to be having conversations about, the type of player profile that we want. So obviously, we want to be looking at players and seeing if they fit into the philosophy, if they fit into the system, you know, so that they can continue the good work that they're doing. And when you see it in play, I mean, look what he did at Brighton, look what he's doing at Newcastle. albeit now he's on sabbatical because of this whole situation that's going on. When you look at Man City, how Pep brings players with that, player philosophy in mind, and they integrate so perfectly into that system. They don't just go
mm,
out there and get random players like United. Oh, because
mm,
Casemiro's contract is ending, because Varane's contract is ending, because Ericsson is a free agent. What? And I'm not trying to say that these players that we got were not beneficial for the club. They were and they are, but at the same time, you know, we just have this habit of just getting any player anyhow. And we
mm,
don't really consider if this player is actually the right profile of player for the club. You check. So with this whole Sir Jim thing, like I really like, his statement. Like I said, you know, going out there and saying, like, look, this Manchester United, we should be challenging for the Premier League, not trying to get into top four. He understands the difference. Like this is not uh a Brighton or a West Ham or whatever, these type of teams that are coming up and are trying and their
yeah.
ambitions are different to ours. Their ambitions are we want to level up, we want to get into top six, then top four, and then whatever you get. But we are Manchester United. Our thing, our goal is not getting to top four. Our goal is competing for the Premier League, competing for the Champions League, playing the best football in the world. You see, so the fact that he came out and said that, it's like he gets it. He
Mm,
understands what needs to be done. And you
mm,
can see it in the things that he's doing by saying that we're a top club. Why don't we have a top stadium? You get what I mean? We're a top club. Why don't we have top players? Etc., etc., etc. So, man, this Sir Jim thing, man, I'm really starting to he's starting to grow on me. He's starting
mm.
to grow on me. He's winning me over. Not that I
You know
didn't
what?
trust uh, but he's definitely, speaking and doing the right like, what he's saying, he's following through, and that's what I
Yeah,
like, you know?
yeah,
He's
yeah.
following through with everything.
No, with the gym, I think seasoned United fans who are going, they appreciate what's actually happening right now,
Yeah.
because I think for the club in general, there's not been I don't think anybody can remember when there's been this sort of positivity change, like everybody wanting change in the club, wanting to change this, wanting to change this, wanting to fix this, because the
Yep.
club is literally being driven into the ground.
Mhm.
United is what is the true definition of a sleeping giant. We've been a
Mm.
sleeping giant for a very, very long time. And so Jim has come with this energy, with this enthusiasm. He's like, listen, and I think the other good thing about it is the fact that he's a fan himself. When you're sitting from outside looking at, even me, I feel like if I was in Sir Jim's position right now, I would have been probably making the same changes that he's trying to do right now, especially with the knowledge that we have of United. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's really positive vibes, the whole stadium. I think I watched an interview where he was like, I think he likes the complex. He says it's not too bad. They renovated it. I think the Glazers,
Yeah, yeah.
after the CR7 thing, they did something,
Mm.
and they fixed that. And
Yeah.
then, but then obviously what's left is the stadium and all the other stuff. But he was like, yeah, the stadium. Either we get a new one or we renovate
Yeah.
the old one. I personally think they can renovate the old one because, but again, new stadium. Hey, different vibes. It could be a futuristic stadium. One of those things that you've got drones passing beers to people. You never know.
Yeah.
But again, I like what you said about Dan Ashworth when you talked about the way, the philosophy. United, all these things that you mentioned, that is music to our ears. In fact, we don't even know what that feels like.
Mm.
Everything that you mentioned, having that structure and what, we haven't had that in a while. It's almost
Mhm.
the only time we can recollect a moment where we were like that is during Sir Fergie. And
Yeah.
even during Fergie's time, it was a little bit different because that was then.
Mm.
Football has changed now. It has moved into a different era. So things are a little bit different. So, what you said was spot on, bruh. Because you look at, and then again, this guy that they're trying to bring in, I think they need to bring him fast because I think right now they are busy. I don't know if it is because of his price tag or whatever, but I think the word that I heard was like 20 million to buy him out of wherever he is. And
Yeah.
I was like, that is change. That is pocket change, especially when you consider the billions that we wasted
Yep.
in useless, stupid fucking signings. Like
Yep.
signings with no direction, bro. You know? And now we're at this point where we need somebody that can fix that. I say, I'm actually surprised he's not yet in the club right now because we need to fix it. Like, even if he 40 million, give him. Give
Yeah.
him because for the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, this guy is
Mhm.
going to fix the books for you guys because he's
Yep.
not going to waste money on useless players. He's
Mhm.
not going to overspend on
Yep.
players. We're not going to get rid of players that should actually be in the club. We're going to get rid of
Yep.
players that we need to actually get rid of, you know.
Yeah.
So there's going to be and then also this thing of these contracts that we are giving these youngsters.
Yep.
I think Ineos is going to try and fix it to try and cap it because man, I'm
Yeah.
still a little bit I can't say upset, but I'm annoyed that Rashford is got a lot of money. I really, really am upset by that because that money translates into the responsibility that you're given. Do you understand? If
Yeah.
you're the
Yeah.
highest paid player, the
Mm.
responsibility on you is higher. You're supposed to
Mm.
perform week in, week out. And if you don't do
Mhm.
that, then your price tag or your salary thing, it makes no sense and it starts making
Mm.
us upset. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because we're like, why are
Yeah.
you paying him this if he's not going to go and put in a shift?
Exactly.
So that thing, if Ineos can fix that, like cap the salary.
Yeah.
Like you can't
Yeah.
look at Bayern Munich. I think Sadio Mane and Harry Kane were the players that were I think highest paid. Sadio
Yeah.
Mane, they didn't even like it. Those guys
Yeah.
are like, why is this black guy getting all this money here?
Mm. Mm.
300, I think he was getting 300 something, while their salary cap is about 200 or something. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
People like Kimi, Muller, Neuer, their salaries are between 200 and below. Here we're
Musiala.
giving, bruh, you like, get this Dan Ashworth, bring him in, or Paul Mitchell. I don't know.
Yeah.
I needed to ask you, who do you prefer, Paul Mitchell or Dan Ashworth?
You
Based
know
on
what?
the rumors that you've heard. Just a quick one. Would you like Paul
All right.
Mitchell or Dan Ashworth? Based on the little or the
The lit
information
the
that you've consumed on them.
Yeah, I think the little information I've consumed was probably Dan Ashwood. Ashworth, sorry, Dan Ashworth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
I
Paul
like the job
Mitchell,
he
I don't know much about his history and what he has done. He could
did.
also be as capable as Dan Ashworth, but I
Yeah,
guess Dan Ashworth is just the one I've recently versed myself on a lot, and I've liked what
true.
he has done. At Brighton, at Newcastle, and it makes sense because remember the times when Brighton were coming up and were doing well, and you just didn't understand why.
But
And then Newcastle also just had a recent resurgence, and then when you put a name and a head and a figure to it and stats and information, you're like, I see now. You know what I mean? I want some of that. If you could get Brighton and Newcastle up to these levels, what imagine now if you had the disposable money of Manchester United, what you could do, you know?
yeah.
So yeah, man, it's exciting. It's exciting to see, and I just really hope that it can come through.
And again, what you mentioned, when you said that what Dan Ashwood said about having this strategy and this plan and philosophy,
Yeah.
Brighton are the perfect example of it
Yep.
because Graham Potter was there for a
Mm.
while, did his thing. We saw the football improve. Like as
Yeah.
they came in, they were not the
Yeah.
Brighton that we see now. It improved, and
Exactly.
then I thought like after he leaves going to Chelsea, maybe it is going to dip. No, it didn't
Yeah.
dip. Zerbi walked in, he just brought his
Mm.
different energy, but then the
Yeah.
football was still the same. And that is
Yep.
something that, yeah, like
And when you l
when you were
and when
saying it,
you
it was like,
Yeah, and when you look at the players that they've bought, again,
yeah,
it's just because they lose like Cucurella and then they've got a Stupian. You know what I mean? Like, where are you finding these players? You get what I'm trying to say? They just
yeah,
fit into like the system, and it's like Cucurella never left because now they have another player in that position to do what you call this, what the one before was doing. You check. I mean, they lost a lot of players, and we thought that yeah, these guys are gonna be lost. You get what I mean? They lost Trossard, they lost Cucurella, they lost Caicedo. They lost who else did they lose? They lost quite a lot of players, but then they easily just went and brought these same profile players back into the squad, and they didn't dip as hard as we thought that they would because of that system and that structure and that philosophy, and you know what I
Yes.
mean? That's in place. So the ship just keeps moving. It keeps moving, you know? So yeah, man. And speaking of managers, it was very interesting that you brought this up when we started, when you're saying that there are a couple of managers who are gunning for this United job. And I was in shock, I was in proper shock because I'm like, guys, there's one that really, I don't know, I don't want to say like surprised me, was
Ah,
probably Thomas Tuchel. Because if I'm not mistaken, before he went to Chelsea, didn't we want him?
nah, we
And then
did.
what happened? Was it a case
We
of
did.
we just couldn't get it done, or he just decided to go to Chelsea? I can't remember what the story was around that. But you know what, man? With Thomas Tuchel, I don't want him. You know what I mean? I don't want him because he just seemed like a one-hit wonder. When he was at Chelsea,
Mm.
PSG, was it PSG, ne? It was Chelsea, PSG, and then now he's at Bayern. Man, when was it the past weekend when they got slapped up to Leverkusen? And look, respect to Leverkusen. Javi is doing an awesome job there. Like he has gone, what is it now? Is it 33, 34 games undefeated, unbeaten? It's just win and draws. Like, dude, I'm like, yeah, Liverpool are probably gonna be gunning for him. But I mean, there was a point during this season where Bayern were untouchable. You know, even in Champions League, we're like, yeah, Bayern is taking the Champions League. There's no question about it. And the way Bayern has just fallen, it's so reminiscent of when he was at Chelsea when they're doing so well, and then all of a sudden they just tanked. And that's what's happening at what you call this
Actually,
at Bayern.
actually,
So I wouldn't want
actually,
to, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
I
okay,
I
okay,
actually like Tuchel.
yeah,
I actually do. I think he's one of these modern managers. He's very pragmatic. It's just
yeah,
it's and when I look at the situations that a lot of these managers are in, it's just one of those things of like it's just not working out. You see, like a Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich,
yeah,
people can say what they want to say. Yeah, like they're getting smashed, but that team It's sort of it's going through that sort of how can I say a revamp, and they've got a lot of
yeah,
old players.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What's this word I'm looking for?
Old players,
I
and
know it's the same word you're thinking of, but yeah, yeah, go on.
like you see, like the moment when Arsenal was getting beaten this season, everybody was
Yeah,
worried. Even my pops came to me sending me messages, "Oh, Ateta out," and I'm like, "Wait, but because you're losing a couple of games, relax. This guy Ateta is a very good manager. You guys, if you lose Ateta, it is a wrap for you guys. I don't know who will come in and inject the same energy that you guys have." And then they
yeah,
started winning. Bayern Munich, unfortunately for them this season, things are just not working out. It happens. It happens. They've been winning the Bundesliga for the past 12 years non-stop. This year, it's just not working out. You look at Girona,
man,
you look at
yeah,
Barcelona. No, I'm,
yeah,
I'm just trying to make people
I,
understand that in
yeah,
football,
yeah.
you don't just always win. Now with
I
Tuchel,
get that. Yeah,
Tuchel, his time at Chelsea, that guy wasn't given time, bro. The second season, when he
yeah,
wanted to start implementing his things, it was chaotic, which is normal. You look at us,
yeah,
we bounced off a good season like last season. Our season last season was actually good compared to everybody else. FA
yeah.
Cup final, Carabao Cup, third position. What else did we do? Did we qualify for Champions League or what? I forgot. What did we do last season in terms of Euro?
We qualified for Champions League.
Oh yeah,
We went to, I think, was it the semi or finals of Europa? Um, and yeah, yeah, obviously won the EFL. Went to the finals of FA Cup, got smacked up by City, 2 goals from Gundogan. Fucking hell, just nightmares.
but
But anyway,
and then we ended up on a high, but our achievements were a high. And then when you look
yeah,
at how we sort of started again, it was sort of chaotic because there were the injuries and what. People don't understand. Again, let me mention this. Let me give you a prime
Okay.
example of how I feel. The best way I can explain my point.
All
Remember when
right.
we played Liverpool and
Yeah.
we drew? What did
Mm.
people say? What did people say about that game? They said
What it is? Mm.
they were saying that Liverpool were unlucky, and they were saying that
Yeah.
we parked the bus, which
Yeah.
I thought that was lazy and naive. Because when that happens to us, when we play a game where we are possession is on a high, the shots on target, what we are shit. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
It's like when you don't score or you don't do, even when you have the numbers are on your side, you are shit. And that's what people do. So Bayern Munich right now, when they lose and this, everybody are just looking at them as shit. Tuchel, everybody's just jumping on this bandwagon of this team is whack, this team is this, but they're not whack. Now, which now takes me back to Tuchel. Tuchel, unfortunately for him, he's just looking for a fucking big job. But that guy, when you look at his football, in general, like even the way he explains his tactics and what he's trying to achieve, I think he's actually
Yeah.
good. I'm not saying that he should come and take Eric Ten Hag's job. No ways.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I am
100%.
settled I am settled with Eric Ten Hag.
But
I heard sorry.
you see, Ben, like
Uh,
my issue with Tuchel is that I'm not what you call derating him. I rate him as a manager. My thing
yeah.
is that when he was at Chelsea, right,
Mm,
he had a disposal of players, and I think Chelsea have always just had a great disposal of players, right?
mm,
So for
mm,
me, for him to like keep this stability and then tank so hard is so concerning. And the same thing happened at PSG, and the same thing is happening at Bayern. And I do get that every club goes through their phase, because you compared with Arsenal. But when you look at Arsenal and Arteta, right? It was a slow development. A lot of the time, he was getting these like I want to say lesser known players or whatever and everything like that. Maybe a few stars here and there. But you can see it has really been a developing team, a developing side, of youngsters. And that's one thing, Arsenal is being praised for lately is, the young players that are starting to bring this club back up, right? But at Chelsea, he has always, not always, but he had a disposal of, how can I say, I don't want to say world class, but he had a disposal of certified players, world
mm.
renowned players,
Let
players
me
that
comment.
when you hear their names, you don't even need to go and like research who's this guy, where did he come from, what. Do you get what I'm saying? He had a disposal of quality players. So I'm not saying that he had no excuse not to lose games. You can lose games and go for a run of bad games, whatever. But just the way they tank from like you're in top four, and now the following season you're
See,
struggling to even get in the
see,
top
see.
8. You get what I'm
What
saying?
happened to
And then when
Tuchel
you go to
happened.
and then
What happened to
and
Tuchel's
then
happening with Pochettino. Remember, after that winning
yes, and
Champions
and
League
and and
season,
and
that's when they started buying all these players. And we even started
but
asking ourselves, does Tuchel even want these players that Chelsea are buying? Remember,
But I get it, Ben. But again, that's the point. Because even when you look at Pochettino, right? Yes, everyone can say that, you have to give him time and whatever,
yeah,
but still, this guy is being given a disposal of top quality players that any top side would want in their squad. And it's like, how are you not able to get this together? And I do understand the philosophy of bringing in players and whatever. But there's just certain situations where it's like, look, you've got these players. There's just no way you can be in this position, or there's just no way you can allow this team to tank so hard to the level that it's at. You understand? So obviously in the Premier League it's a bit different because there are a lot of competitive teams. So you could really see how far he tanked when he started dropping in performances and everything like that. PSG, obviously the Farmers League, even if your performances are gonna tank, there's still not enough competition there for PSG to drop that far down. And the same thing at Bayern, like you mentioned, they've been winning Bundes for the past 12 years or whatever. So even if you don't have a good run, or even when your performances start tanking as a manager, you're not really going to see that difference because there's not like there's not like a good amount of teams that can really come and expose how much you have tanked because the team in and itself, even though the manager's not performing, the club is just always going to be on top there. So he really got exposed in the Premier League because he had a very good formidable side. And the way that he tanked in the Premier League was so concerning. You check. So I get your point and understand where you're coming from, but for me personally, I just don't get how. And for me, that's why I'm using Chelsea as an example because I know with PSG and with Bayern, even if you're not performing that well, you're still gonna be in that top four conversation. You're still gonna be somewhere floating around the top four just because the way the league is set up. But in Premier League, you really get exposed. And for me, the way he got exposed in the Premier League, nah, and obviously I don't want Ten Hag to be replaced, but if not even I don't even want to imagine it. But if there's ever a situation where we have to think about getting a new manager for whatever fucked up reason, I do not want Tuchel in that conversation at all. And maybe you're right when you're saying that the problem is that he guns for these big jobs, instead of maybe going to like a Spurs or a Leverkusen or you know what I mean, an Atletico or whatever, but man, nah, man,
So I,
Tuchel
I,
is
I
just not the
understand
one
your
for
I,
me,
I
man.
do understand your concerns, D. But that analogy, I think I'm gonna have to disagree. Regardless of you
Yeah,
having all these players at your disposal, it doesn't mean that you're going to win. Doesn't mean that everything is going to be all right, which is evident right now with the current Chelsea team. They have spent billions, 200 million defensive midfielders, Caicedo and Enzo, and those guys look like paper. You understand? They have not yet gone into that groove. They might, like next season. I'm waiting to see the Chelsea, like these players improve. And it's the
yeah,
same thing with Tuchel. Tuchel did well. He had N'Golo Kante, he had these boys, Havertz, what. The next season, because remember, prior to that season, Chelsea didn't have that spending power. They were not allowed to, I think they had a ban or something. So they were not allowed to spend. Then that season they win the Champions League, then boom, they're allowed. And I think maybe Todd Bowley was coming in. Todd Bowley starts spending all this money. We're just seeing all these players going. And we're asking ourselves, does Tuchel want these players? We've asked ourselves this question as well with Manchester United managers. Are we buying these
yeah,
players because the manager wants these guys, or are we buying for the
yeah,
sake of buying? And when we looked at
yeah,
that Chelsea squad, it looked like they were just buying, bro.
yeah,
What you tell me right now? What is the point of buying Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez? What explain that to me? That is one fucking thing that I never understood. But that was just because they were being greedy. Now you've been given that situation. Caicedo and Enzo cannot hold a midfield. They are weak. They need Gallagher. So that's what
yeah.
Tuchel
But,
went through because he had to now
yeah,
start figuring out how he needs to put these players in, and it didn't work. Now that
yeah,
doesn't
he
take
didn't.
away
No,
from the
no,
manager that he is.
but you're saying it didn't work. It's him who didn't make it work. You understand what I mean? If Ten Hag
No,
was
I'm
given that squad,
explaining. I'm
If Ten Hag was given
explaining
that squad,
what you
go
think Ten
ahead,
Hag would
go
have done
ahead.
something good.
He would have. Ten Hag would have
He,
figured it out. Ten Hag would have. Ben,
he, gee, that
that Chelsea,
why is Pochettino?
that
Why is
Chelsea squad.
Pochettino failing? Why is Pochettino
Then
failing now?
then he just does.
Explain
He
that to
can't.
me.
He can't manage the team. He can't
Oh,
manage
so
the team.
Pochettino's weak?
It's. I'm not
Is
saying
that what
he's
you say?
weak. They're just some managers who are capable of getting quality players like that and knowing what to do with them. And there's some managers who get that quality of players and don't know what to do with it. Remember there was that time when before N'Golo Kante got injured, and I think it was Tuchel. And Chelsea fans were crying, why isn't N'Golo Kante not starting? Why isn't N'Golo Kante not starting? And then eventually he got
No,
injured
it
for like
was
a
not.
long period of
It
time.
wasn't
And then he
Tuchel.
came back into the
Tuchel
squad.
played. I told you there was a point where I was like, this Chelsea team would have not won this Champions League if it wasn't for N'Golo Kante. That was Tuchel.
100%. 100%.
N'Golo Kante, the next season, got injured when Tuchel was there, and that's when Tuchel started to fix this. Do you understand? They were not going through the rebuild that Pochettino is going through right now, which is tanking them. They didn't have the stability. They just bought all these players. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not trying to defend Tuchel here. What I want people to understand is the situation and the circumstances in which he was thrust in. Because
All
you are
right.
saying that Ten Hag would have done the same job. Well, slow, like when you look at us here right now, things have been slow. They've been slow for us. And then you want to, nah, 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 nah,
Ben,
nah.
player position,
Uh,
position for position, position for position. Chelsea have got better quality players than us, position for position. And you're
and you
telling me
think
that
Erik
if,
Ten
if
Hag
and you're
will
telling me
walk
that if
in
Ten
there
Hag
and
never
make
had
them
that
play?
quality, if you're telling me that Ten Hag, if Ten Hag has that overall quality, that overall squad quality, you're telling me
Uh,
that he won't be in a better position than what Pochettino is right now. Are you telling me that?
wait, I think okay, Ten Hag would be in a better position than Pochettino. So what does this say about Pochettino? Like, are we saying that Pochettino is not figuring out what's going on with Chelsea? Yet we can see that at Chelsea right now, they're riddled with injuries. That team, they've not been. I don't know if you
Yeah,
understand where I'm coming with
but
this.
it's only now. It's only like I get it, Ben. I get it. But what I'm trying to say is, at the beginning of the season, even before they got rid of all the players and some of the players got injured, the Chelsea team had a squad, fam. It had a squad,
Yeah,
and
but
it still has a squad
um,
despite injuries. Yes, I
um,
get that on paper. All right, okay, all right.
what these managers go through. That is my thing here because I'm trying to see. Like, I think Tuchel can also get something out of Manchester United. I don't want him, but I think he can.
With this squad,
This is where the debate is. Yes,
with this squad,
yes.
no way, no way, no
So,
way. There's no
so
evidence
here,
that backs it. There's no evidence that backs Tuchel
no,
can
there's
take
no
this current
evidence.
squad.
No,
This
I don't
current
need
squad,
evidence.
nah.
Yes. Okay. Why? Okay. What do you see Eric Ten Hag doing at this Chelsea squad?
I
Like
see him
how?
doing a better
Because
job.
you see,
I see him
so
doing
you
a
see
better
Eric
job.
Ten Hag doing a better job at Chelsea, but you don't see
Yes, because
Tuchel getting us. Okay, you're only
no
saying that
way,
because we're
no way,
probably in a
no way.
better place.
If Tuchel had the a better squad at his disposal than what we had now and couldn't get the job done, what is he gonna do with these players? If he had to step into the club now, if the roles were reversed and he had the same injuries that Ten Hag has right now, are you telling me that you trust Tuchel to get us to keep the ship stable than Ten Hag in this same situation?
Oh, but
In this same situation, are you telling me Tuchel will be able to keep the ship stable? No. But you know what? You know what? Okay, you know what?
Bayern Munich right now, man, those players are letting him down. I watch Bayern Munich
Yeah,
games. They're letting him
yeah,
down. You look at the left, those defenders that we wanted, defenders that were coveted at one point. Players, Opamecano,
yeah.
all these players were coveted. They're just not doing it. The system is there. Unfortunately, maybe the character of the coach is not working, but then the players are there. That's what I'm trying to
Okay.
say. The players are there.
All right. All right. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Okay. No, it's fine. Let's agree to disagree.
But I don't
Jose
want
Mourinho.
Tuchel. I don't want him. That's
Yeah.
what I'm
No.
saying.
Obviously, we're just
I don't
talking
want
about the
Tuchel.
managers. Obviously.
I don't want
Yeah.
Nagelsmann. I don't want Jose Mourinho. I love
S-
Jose. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
he's my guy.
Do you- so do
But
you think when everything? But nah, I think it'll be too late, eh? Because I wanted to say, like, do you think when everything is put in place? And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate, right? For some
yeah,
reason, Ten Hag has to leave, right?
yeah,
Do you think Jose Mourinho deserves a second run at United?
that is a very interesting question. Okay, God forbid Eric Ten Hag gets sacked,
Hmm.
and I don't think so.
Hmm.
I want him, but I don't. I think he's still gonna clash with players in the current squad. That's my
Yeah.
issue. He will
Yeah.
clash with them, and that will just be the end. Like somebody
Yeah.
who Sancho, he will say, and Jose, his comments,
Yeah.
his digs. People think Eric Ten Hag took a dig at Sancho.
Hey, man.
Wait till you hear the special one. The special one dishes it out. So in terms of, but again, when I listen to Jose now, he looks like he's
Yeah.
more in tune with the latest with the new players.
Yeah,
But nah, man, nah.
yeah.
God forbid we get rid of. And wait, are there other options, or it's just Mourinho out there?
Man, from what I've heard,
No,
it's
no, no. In
Mourinho.
your analogy, in your little scenario, God forbid
I
Eric Ten
think
Hag
I
leaves,
think
and is it
because
only
I
just
think
Jose Mourinho?
I think Mourinho is the only manager that I can see returning back to a club and giving it a second go. I don't see Van Gaal the way he has spoken so poorly of Man United since he left. I don't think even if he was offered the job with whatever
Ah, man,
amount of money, even if they gave
man,
him a blank check, you'll be like, "Nah, I'm good." You know what
they
I
hurt
mean?
him.
And
They hurt him.
they hurt him exactly. I
Yeah.
don't think any amount of money will get him back into the club. Um, hey man, you know what's funny? I actually heard rumors that Ole might
Be the Bayern
if
Munich coach. Interim.
dude.
I heard. I've been following that, and you know what? If they're trying to get
Yeah,
Ole because of the good feel factor that he did at United, cool, do that.
yeah,
But if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
trying to get those guys firing on all cylinders, he's not your man.
Nope,
He's not your man. And again,
nope.
what history does Ole have with Bayern Munich apart from taking them out of the
Exactly,
Champions League? Like
exactly.
like in football, and as much as
That
people
would
don't,
be a
there will
wrong
always
move.
be that thing. Like
Yep,
this guy came in here, like okay, he's our
dude.
manager now, interim manager, but this guy scored against us. He took a Champions League
I don't,
against
I
us.
don't, I don't, I don't think the fan base will accept him.
I
And
don't think
because,
they'll
and you know
accept him
what?
as well.
And in Europe, we have a rivalry with Bayern. So the fact of them even trying to entertain that, I don't even know how this rumor even came about. But man, I'm
I
calling it cap.
laughed. I
Yeah,
laughed. But
yeah.
again, I understood it because you look at, hey man, Ole has really deceived a lot of people because Ole not deceived, but because he
Yeah,
was in charge. He was in charge at the
yeah,
time. So you can't say he
yeah.
deceived people. He's the one that put out
True.
his team. He's the one that did it. But Ole
Yeah,
is the one manager that beat Pep back to back, home and away.
dude.
He was doing madness. Ole,
I think it was 3 games in a row or something. Hey
yeah,
man, eh,
smacking
Ole,
City up, or left,
dude.
right, and Ole did that.
Yeah,
Whether it was
yeah,
Ole, like his
mm,
tactics, his energy, I don't know. But Ole
yeah,
was at the wheel when we did all those crazy things,
yeah, yeah,
beating
yeah,
teams, scoring. Like you look at our forwards now. Now I'm not
yeah.
taking anything. I'm not trying to take a dig at Eric Ten Hag, but some of the
Mm,
best attacking football we've played was under Ole.
100%,
Mason,
100%.
Martial, Greenwood, sorry, Rashford, all that jazz was
Yeah,
Ole.
yeah,
Those were
yeah,
Ole's attackers.
yeah,
So maybe they are looking into all of that. Like
yeah,
maybe,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, but
Maybe,
it
maybe
was
as an
so
interim.
strange. It was so
Yeah,
strange. We thought, what?
yeah,
Like there's nobody else
yeah,
out there? Like really? Like
yeah,
even Miguel's man. Because this is
yeah,
an interim basis, right? Interim.
yeah,
You're not trying to.
yeah,
You're not
yeah,
going to give him the contract at the end of the season, nah.
yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah, man.
yeah,
But anyway, speaking of managers, man, man, we hardly get an opportunity to talk about our own manager, you know. And I think it's high time we give our
ETH.
manager his flowers now because we don't even know what's gonna happen in the foreseeable future.
Hey
So yeah,
man,
man, I think we really need to shed some light on Ten Hag because this guy last season, even this season, he has just had a run of unfortunate events. Even right now, we just got Licha back and he's already back in the ambulance. You know what I mean? We just got Shobeto back and he's already back on the stretcher. You check what I'm saying? Hoyland has been doing the things for us and now he's also out. You know what I mean, fam? Like, he just can't seem to catch a break. But every time the chips are down, every time you lose sight of hope, he just manages to pull a rabbit out the bag. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, we are not even going to see top four. Like, we're not even
I
gonna see
know,
top four's rear backlights. It's over
I
for
know.
us. The best we
Yeah.
can do is Europa. And now I can now see the tail lights of top four. You know what I mean? I can see, I'm like, we're approaching. I can see the tail lights. Like, I see you. You know what I mean? And somehow I've got back that hope of, you know what, maybe. Now, look, I don't want people to get my statement wrong. All right. Like you said last year, before the second half of the season. We always had this thing of once we get our players back from injury, we're gonna start playing better. But I just don't think that we thought that by the time we get our players back, we were going to be in that position that we were. Right. I think that time we're eight, now we're six, but we'll considerably be like behind top four. I think we're more than 10 points. I think it got to about 13 points. We're 13 points behind the fourth place whatever club, right? So yes, the players came back. We knew the football was going to improve, but we just never thought that we're going to start climbing back up the ladder as fast as we did. Because yes, we did all say that it would be nice to have a good run of games. We're just winning back to back to back, and yes, we knew that when the players came back, the football's going to improve. But I just don't think we saw that happening immediately. We just didn't see us going with now 6 games unbeaten. We didn't see it. This is shocking all of us. We don't want to
I,
talk too
I,
much about it because we don't want to jinx it, right? Like
I
like
did.
I want to I,
I
I
didn't
want to
think we'll
separate
win.
it. Okay, maybe you did, but I want to separate
Yeah,
it so there's no confusion, all right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes, the performances were going to improve, right? But us going for like 6 games undefeated, I think that one has caught everyone. Like, I don't think okay, if for you it's not surprising, then big ups to you. But I
No, it's
think for
not. It
myself, and
really is
and
not.
let me speak for myself and let me not speak for the whole United base. I
Yeah,
didn't see us going 6 games unbeaten, right? I saw us going like maybe like out of six, I would say maybe four unbeaten, one loss and a draw. You get what I mean? And
yeah,
those four wins, the loss and the draw, were gonna be scattered. It wasn't gonna be like win, 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 draw. You know what I mean? So I thought it would be like win,
yeah,
win, draw, lose, win, win. You get what I'm saying? So the sole
yeah.
fact it was like draw, win, 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 win. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, I didn't
No,
see that coming.
dude,
You know, and
those
that's
wins
what we
also were not
needed.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah, and
those
that's
wins
what
were
we
not easy.
needed.
Mm.
Yeah, they're not easy, and that's what we needed to get to this position that we are at right now. You check.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
we needed, and we're doing it. And like I said, I don't want to continue. It's like I'm scared to speak a lot on it because I'm like, I don't want to
I know
jinx it. I
I
don't
know
want to jinx it.
exactly what you mean. I
I
know,
don't wanna get it. I don't
I
wanna get
know.
excited. I just wanna, like, watch they in the corner. You know what I mean? Every time I, like, watch a match, I don't wanna get too excited. I don't wanna think that, we're 5 for 5.
Yeah,
I just wanna watch the match and just be like, "Okay, now we're 6 games, you know what I mean? 6 wins
yeah,
in a
yeah.
row. Okay, now it's 7.
Wait,
Now it's 8."
can I
You know
ask
what
you
I
a
mean?
question?
Yeah.
Last season, yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot. So we're bouncing off here. We'll just
Yeah,
be
yeah,
going
yeah,
back.
sure.
Last season,
Yeah.
what was our longest winning streak, if you remember? Because we
I
did
don't
go.
remember.
We went. I
Yeah,
think we went on like
we
couple, like a two, where we went, and then we were worried if we were to lose, how the bounce
so are you
back would
saying
be. But our bounce
are
back
you
would be
saying
good. No,
are
I'm
you
asking
saying
you.
winning or so are you
Winning,
saying
winning,
winning or undefeated? Winning. The longest
both,
winning.
both, because we
It's different because when you say undefeated or unbeaten, there'll be a draw in between here and there, if
that's
you get
fine.
what I mean.
I'm
So
adding the
winning, we're talking
occasional
straight
draw.
winning, no draws. So last season, I don't know what's the longest winning run we went on. I honestly can't remember, but I do know
But we did
unbeaten.
go,
We went for a long period when we were unbeaten.
and in those unbeaten, there were more wins than draws, right?
Hey man, last season we drew a lot of games, fam. So I don't know. I don't wanna, you know what I mean? Because last season we drew a lot, fam. We definitely drew in the double digits. I think we went for like 10 draws or something like that. But yeah, man, we
Anyway,
drew quite a number of games last season.
I was trying to build up a point, but it wasn't clicking because I thought maybe
I-
our
But
our
I
knowledge
I
of
I I
last
I
season
I,
was
I
going
you
to
know
be
what, man? I think I know
uh,
the point that you're trying to get to. Like, look, this
yeah,
is we have done it. Why are you surprised that we're doing it now with the players
exactly,
that we had? Yes, no, I get the point you're
exactly.
trying to build up to. I get it.
That
Yeah,
that is basically my point because I'm like
yeah,
we ident and my can here's another thing that's gonna shock you.
yeah.
The wins, these crazy wins. started when
Yeah.
Kobe, what's his name, Casemiro came back.
Yeah. Yeah. Casemiro Shaw Licha. It's not a coincidence.
It's not a fucking coincidence. And
Yeah.
the fact that we ignore it is lazy. It means that we're
Yeah.
not paying attention. Do you
Yeah.
understand? Because we know
100%.
what our team is capable of, but then we still sit there angry and trying to find a way. Ah, they're not doing this. Oh, that. Come on, this
Yeah.
team is
Yeah.
very. I always say this: Manchester United. This we
Yeah.
can beat anyone at any day. It's just that we are tired of that statement because it comes once and far in between. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
happen often. It hasn't been happening often. But the truth of the matter is we can. And when one thing that I've noticed, and this is something
Mm.
with the gaffer, which we need to give him his flowers because
Yeah.
he has always mentioned that I can't put my best team out there because I don't have my
Mm.
Luke Shaw, I don't have my
Yeah.
Butcher, I don't have
Mm.
Casemiro there to do this thing. Varane is not
Yeah.
there. This guy is not there. This guy,
Rashford is
I
off
I
form.
can't. Yes, I can't
Mm.
get these guys firing on all cylinders without everybody else. And when we
Yeah.
had everybody else, my friend, we saw a glimpse. And
True.
how is it that we are ignoring that? How?
Yeah.
And when we
Yeah.
see that, okay, like for example, now, God forbid, Casemiro gets injured, then we are going back
Mm.
to Scott McTominay. People are going to
Yeah.
lose their shit. Why are we using Scott McTominay? We're using Scott
Mm.
McTominay there because he's big, strong, he can run. We know he's not a midfielder, but then that is the reason that the manager is putting him there.
But
So,
you know the
no,
funny
no, no,
thing
no.
is, Ben,
Uh,
those attributes that you mentioned, he does not
I
use
know.
any of them. So for me,
Yes.
it's like it's pointless. It's pointless saying he's big, strong, he's got energy, sharp.
No,
But
the point is
does he utilize it in
okay.
the game? No.
No. Now the thing is, when the manager makes that kind of decision, when that happens,
Yeah.
he gets
Yeah.
too much scrutinized,
Yeah.
unnecessarily scrutinized for something so small. Let's just deal
Mm.
with Scott McTominay for now. He's got energy. He's fit. We don't, bruh. You've seen those games where we've put Ericsson in, and we're like,
Yeah.
Ericsson is the maestro. He's the brain.
Hey
He's the
man.
heartbeat. But my guy, unfortunately for him, the legs, they're not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He can't chase somebody. People are beating him because of pace. And then you put Scott McTominay in and he's just going toe to toe with those guys. Not that he's doing the job that you want him to do, but he's just a placeholder.
Yeah.
People just stick onto that Eric Ten Hag thing and they bombard it. There are still people that want Eric Ten Hag to go now. Can you imagine? I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
there was one time in our group, I think we won a game, and then there was
Yeah.
somebody that in the group mentioned there's no style of play. And I'm like, okay, true, our style of play is a bit dodgy. But then,
Yeah.
do you understand where we are at? Like, have we been playing with a style of football right up until this moment? Like, we've just been chopping and changing. There's not been direction. We've been playing and surviving,
Mm.
grinding
Mm.
out results, just doing what we can to get the win. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, we cannot. The style of play has not been there because we've not had our Chobeto Carlos. The Butcher has not been
Yeah.
there. What has not been there. That's why we've not been having a style of play. But those guys came in, and then we started seeing some structure. Yes or no, D?
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wanna.
True. It's true.
But then for some reason, people, it, it yo, it makes me
The
mad
thing
when people
the
say
thing
that
is,
we're not improving in whatever way.
you know what, Ben? The thing is, like, I don't disagree with them completely, and let me explain why. Right? Yes, we have been winning these games, but we can also agree that some of these games were very close calls, like the Wolves game, the last minute goal with Kobe Mainu, the game against Newport where we went, we were 2 goals ahead, and then I think it was what was it by halftime or after halftime we considered 2 goals, and then it was square, and then we didn't even know what we're gonna if we're gonna win that game or not, right? So some of these games have been scrappy wins. Okay. So during the game, we've shown glimpse of if we keep this consistency during the game, we should have no problem beating these teams that we should be beating on paper, right? But then at the same time, it's like they lose their focus and they just revert to nonsense. And then we end up conceding useless goals we're not supposed to be conceding, and we're leaving it for last minute, worldies from Kobe Mainu for us to win these games and stuff like that. So those guys who are like the Ten Hag haters or the Ten Hag outers or whatever, they're not gonna focus on the positive moments during the game. You check. They're just gonna be waiting for all those mistakes so they can be highlighted. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't do that,
Bad.
right? It's important to highlight both the good and the bad. Yes, with the players back, there is better structure, but we still need time to get to play more fluid. Like right
Thank
now,
you. We need
we're not
time.
playing. We need time, exactly. We
Thank
need
you.
time, but you
That
can't.
is
You cannot watch the game and not acknowledge that there is a significant difference with these players back in the squad. Our
fuck.
chances
That's
of
my
winning games
thing, D.
have gone from
How
40% to 70%. So there's
fuck.
no way you can't look at that and say that we're really in a much more better position to going into games and pulling a result than what we were before. Because before we had no idea going into games. Now we can
Come on.
confidently go to Fulham and say, yeah, we're gonna beat them. You know what
This
I
is
mean? Mm,
D. These are the acknowledgements that I want the fans to show the love because it's
yeah,
easy. Because when you ignore these things, it's when you now start letting your brain get filled with nonsense. Because
yeah,
dude, you can't like for example these Eric Ten Hag people, the ones that want Eric Ten Hag out. They've
yeah,
got no clue who they want to bring in. That's first of all. That's the thing that annoys me about the Eric Ten Hag out fans. The people that
yeah,
want Eric Ten Hag gone. They don't know who they want to replace him.
yeah,
And if you don't know who you want to replace him, so you want us to go back to the nonsense that we have just chaos. You want chaos at
yeah,
United,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
unfair. And then you also
True.
forget how we've been doing as a club. That's not
Mm,
right. That's not right,
yeah,
dude. I think it is causing a rift in the fan base. It's causing, comparing us to Man City is actually unfair. Comparing us
yeah,
to Liverpool is unfair because we are what 5 years behind them in terms of
yeah.
what they have achieved or what they have done to be the
Mm,
best that they are. And if you
mm,
have that
mm.
in mind, then you will not compare United, like you will not look at United in
Exactly.
that sense. You understand?
Yeah,
So it means that you will be very, you look at the things that are right in front of you, which is what I always do, which is what I get
yeah,
annoyed by when I see fans just being hysterical or just being too much. Oh, there's no
yeah,
style of play. You look at Pep Guardiola, and then I'm like, really? How
yeah.
how long has it taken Pep Guardiola for him to drill his thing into those players? His first season he didn't win. I think even his second season in Man City he didn't win anything. Or did he? Correct me if I'm
I
wrong. Like
think
he didn't win the Premier League.
first season I think he finished fourth if I'm not mistaken, and that's when everyone was making noise saying, "Yeah, you see, welcome to the
Hey,
Premier League." And then I think the second season he went and won it. Then he's like, "Chula."
he won it the next season. He
Yeah,
did the clear out and stuff. Okay, cool. But then
when you
that's
got
the
rid of
point.
Bo Nazary and all those and
Hey,
the
Eric
Jesuses
Ten
and
Hag.
the Popes
Eric
and
Ten Hag has not been given that. One of the famous thing, in fact, it's one of the examples that I always look to is the one that you gave me, the Klopp
mm,
effect.
yeah,
You know that the way you explained it, that's stuck in my head for up
yeah,
until now. Klopp comes in, he sees what he's out.
mm,
Eric Ten Hag is trying to do that, but he has had
yeah,
resistance. You
yeah,
understand? Resistance,
mm,
and then player power. You know what? You know what makes me. Here's something I don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I don't hate this player. I love. I actually I appreciate him, but unfortunately, he's not Sancho.
yeah,
Sancho was criticized by his manager not so long ago. Did you hear
yeah.
about that? Says
Yes,
he's
I heard.
not at the level that he should be for us.
Yeah,
Saying those words that he's not at the level. If Eric
yeah.
Ten Hag said that, he was going to be insulted. What do you mean? Levels. What does that mean? Can you explain? I don't know
So the way I see it, and again, I know it's gonna sound like I'm backing him. I'm really not. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
I
Yeah.
just I just always try to see the logical
Mm.
explanation before I see the what you call this, the sensational what's the other word called? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Point of view. So
Yeah.
my logical explanation for this is ever since that situation with Ten Hag, like he got dropped from the team. So he wasn't playing football, he wasn't training. You understand? For a long period of time.
Mm.
So it wouldn't make sense that if he hasn't been training and he hasn't been playing, like what were Bayern thinking? What were they expecting of of Sancho when he got into the team? Yes, maybe he's gonna have a couple of run of games where he's playing well, but
I mean,
afterwards there's
his
always
first
gonna be
game,
a drop off
assist
because his first game he just went in there in that game with adrenaline. You know what I
and
mean?
assist
And
and provide
energy
an assist.
and it provided an assist. Do you understand? But he hasn't been playing. So I think you also have to put that into consideration. So obviously there will be a drop off, but I do believe that if he's gonna be continue playing and continue training or whatever, he's slowly gonna build up to his level. But them saying that he's not at the level he should be at, 100% agree. He hasn't been training. You know,
No, they
what do you expect?
Sancho.
This
No,
player
no,
hasn't
no.
been
Sancho
training.
has been
What
starting.
do you think? Do you
He's been
think? Yes,
starting
no,
for
yes,
Dortmund.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
his
But
first
what I'm
game
trying to
was
say
good.
is,
Hmm.
yes, but what I'm trying to say that he hasn't been playing football for a minute. What do you expect? You expect him to just come in there and just be the Sancho that you gave to us when he left? No, he hasn't been training. He hasn't been playing for the past 2 seasons. He hasn't been getting as much game as much football as you thought maybe he got or whatever. So obviously, there's going to be you know a period of time where he still needs to get back to where you want him to be.
Mm,
So that's my logical explanation about it.
mm, mm.
Other external factors and reasons, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
the
and
fans,
with that being
the
said,
fans need to
yeah,
get off Eric Ten Hag's dick, man. They need to
yeah,
stop
no,
this.
they do.
They
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
stop this. It is now. It is disrupting the energy. You know what I mean? We
yeah,
get Eric Ten Hag
yeah,
out us, and then we're like, "But why?" And then it pisses us
yeah,
off because like we don't
yeah,
understand what you guys are seeing that's causing you to
yeah,
want this manager to go. Like I've
yeah,
never understood it. Like I have been frustrated with the manager. I will say that 100%. I remember at one point I even said if he's gonna carry on doing this with Scott McTominay, he might just sack himself. And you know what he
yeah,
did? Lucky for him, or lucky for me,
yep,
or for even taking that, Kobe Menu came back, Casemiro
yeah,
came back. You know, then there was that
mm-hmm,
thing where now it's like, listen, you can't start McTominay all the time. And
yeah,
he had the Kobe Menu and Casemiro in there, and it's just like it's just been
yeah,
brilliant ever since then. So,
true,
man, we
true,
need to chill. This guy's the right guy. He's the right guy.
yeah,
He's the right guy,
yeah,
and I'm
no,
enjoying. You
100%,
know, I don't know if you saw the press conference. I think it's Simon Jordan or someone. He has a
yeah,
thing with
yeah,
Eric Ten Hag. You know, the guy's up
yeah,
there going,
yeah,
Simon. Starts smiling. I know. When I see my gaffer smile, I'm
yeah,
cool. Like
yeah,
that's
true,
just me. Like ever since when I see him smile, when I see that determination look on him, I'm chilled. I'm chilled. I
yeah,
know that to me, I know that he's given everything. He has done everything, said everything. It's now up to the players.
true.
So yeah,
Yeah,
man.
no, I agree. I agree. And with that being said, now let's move on to, the academy. And
Yeah.
obviously we did speak a little bit, especially that the first section of this episode we were talking about, Rasmus Hoyland and Forsen. And, I think also during this interview, you also mentioned about the academy. And he had an interview prior to the press conference where they were talking about the academy development and how they get integrated into the first team. And he explained to them that look, we bring them into training first, and then we assess them in training, with the
Mm,
first team players, and we see
mm,
if they're up to task. And if not, then obviously they get sent back. So it's not just the thing of, it's not like a Rashford situation where they just had to throw him into the first team like that. Like they're really trying to be strategic, with this. And I think they also asked him specifically about Kobe Mainu, and they're like, Did you always know that he was this player? And he said, Look, I managed the first team. You know what I mean? So obviously I did know he had some talent because they communicate with each other. They'll go to the academy section and they'll say, look, are there any prospecting players that you think could, make much ways make it into the first team? Yeah, here's one, two, three. Okay, they bring them over. Ten Hag sees them play in training. He sees if they're up to task. Okay, maybe I can integrate you into the team. So there's a process behind it, you know. So I think a lot of people maybe thought or think that Ten Hag is also like monitoring the academy, and I
mm,
think that's a very naive thing. And I like in the press conference, there's some journalists who asked him a question. And it's like that's a very naive way of thinking, and I can attest to that, because his job is to manage the first team. His job is not to be like manage the first team and then also have time to go to the academy and see what's no, no, no. There's people who are dealing with that. You get what I
they
mean?
relay the
So
information to him.
exactly. So he's just coming in, and then it's a process. You know what I mean? They start off in the academy. When they come to the first team, that's when Ten Hag takes over and then says, "Okay, now you're at this level. I'm going to now work with you to get you to that level." But he doesn't
Mm,
start with them from grassroots, and that's something that people need to understand. These first team managers do not start off. They do not start development of these players from grassroots level. No, that's the responsibility of other people inside the club. So yeah, I guess that's the thing of when they come now. Ten Hag watches them in training and assesses them and says, "Okay, how can I integrate you into the first team? How can I use my skills to get you to where you need to be?" So yeah,
mm.
man, that academy development and the first team integration, it was very interesting, word to hear from him. And I don't know, man, what's your take on it? Like, obviously, you spoke a little bit about Forsen, so I think maybe this is
Yeah.
an opportunity for you to really expand on that,
You
on
know,
on the academy development, and these guys getting integrated into the first team.
first thing I just want to say, United. This is all about it. Like academy football is part of the DNA of United.
Mm,
Bringing players in from the academy or something, having an eye at those kids is just part and parcel of the Manchester United philosophy. And I like Eric Ten Hag when he says, "If you're good enough, you're old enough."
yeah,
Meaning, if you are at the levels, he will find a way. He will put you in the play if you're good enough. And those are kind of qualities that you 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 want from your academy. And I think Manchester United is one academy, like Manchester United is one club that has
mm,
really done the business when it comes to academy players coming through the first team and going out there. Like honestly, like I have seen us produce gems and gems and gems. There are some gems that never became football players. You know that guy who was with Paul Pogba. What's his name? Is it Morris? What's his name?
Morrison,
It's Morrison.
something Morrison. There's also Bebe. There was who
Not
else?
Bebe. That Morrison one. That there was one
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
who was
yeah.
tipped to be the future, the like generational talent.
Man,
Unfortunately,
those
life, you know.
there were so many academy boys at that time that were just tipped. That era,
Yeah,
there was an era, where every academy player was tipped to be. There was that Butler guy who was tipped to be the next Evra. There was Tom Cleverley who was tipped to be the new Beckham. There was Adnan Januzaj who was tipped to be the new Ronaldo. Dude, there was a period. We went through a period, fam, where every single academy player
is
was
the
tipped
next
to be the
best thing.
next. Makeda was tipped to with an dude. Like there was a lot of delusion going around.
Federico.
Those United fans were very deluded. There was a period where we were just very, very deluded, fans. And
Ah,
I think
bruh.
now we've really humbled ourselves and really like, said, no, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no, no. We're gonna wait.
yeah,
We've been giving you guys too much credit, without you actually, proving yourself to be the next or whatever you check.
yeah.
So yeah,
And
man,
yeah,
it's
like the gaffer, honestly, the gaffer has not, when it comes to the academy, he
mm,
has really got it spot on since he's been at the club. Because it's one of the things that he mentioned is that we're not going to bring an academy player into the first team just for the sake of bringing him. Nah, we're not doing that. You need to be ready. People don't understand.
yeah,
You need to be ready
yeah,
first team. It doesn't just work. You don't just waltz in and
exactly.
be part of the first team thing. No. So every player that he
Yeah,
has brought in has actually shown that they're ready to take that next step. And
yeah,
I don't know what it is that he says to them. I don't know. He seems to do a good job with these youngsters because you look at Kobe Mainu. Kobe Mainoo is let me not even start with Kobe Mainoo because I need to start with Garnacho because he
Yeah,
gave Garnacho his opportunity. And look, this season, Garnacho has started so many games. Like, United, I need to say this before, United have been that club that don't really trust youngsters. And I've
yeah,
envied that. It has always pissed me off because I look at other clubs and other clubs do it. You look at
yeah,
Barcelona, they've got Yamal. You look at Real Madrid, they've got their youngsters there, whatever. Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City,
yeah,
they trust their academy player. Like, even if they're young,
yeah,
like put him, Oscar
yeah,
Bob, they
true.
trust him. And United, we've not done that in a very, very long time. We've been the club that's very timid. Because you look at now Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham probably didn't come to United because he was avoiding that. He
Yep,
was 16. He knew that if he came in there, he was going to chow bench. Nobody wants
yep,
to chow bench. So that is the thing
mm-hmm,
that we always had. And Eric Ten Hag is not shy. I love that
yeah,
about him. He's not shy of putting these kids in and play. Albeit there are some youngsters that we want to see more of them, and he's not putting them in. But if he believes that this youngster is going to add some sort of dimension and energy, puts him in, and that has been a good. And I don't think he has flopped just yet. I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe you can correct me. Maybe there's a youngster that he has bizered with, uh, but so far he's got it spot on.
Yeah,
So it's very
I think
interesting to see. Mm.
yeah, I think so far the players that just integrate into the team, Maybury, Kamwala, Kobe Mainu, Ganacho, who else? Who else am I thinking of
Awesome.
right now?
There was that
Pawson.
immense during the preseason.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. So I really think that yeah.
Shola Tire.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Shola.
know. I've been drawing a blank on him as well. I've been wondering like what's his situation? Where is he at? I think because Suarez is a striker, yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Either a
Striker
striker
and
or a
attacking
left winger.
midfielder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. So I don't think it's yeah, I just don't think it's his time right now, given the players that we already have in those positions. Yeah, and I
Is
don't
he
think
not
he's
older
showing
than
enough.
Garnacho? Or is the same age?
They're probably the same age. Probably the same age. But I think
Because
I think like you said, if he's attacking midfielder and if he's a striker, I don't think he's going to have any real opportunity breaking into that first team. So that's where I sort of see where he stands right
yeah,
now. So he's probably gonna
Bruno
be in the
Henry.
academy up until a point where he's probably gonna get sold. So I just don't see any high hopes for him. So yeah, man. So yeah, man.
That's
But anyway, from academy to the senior players, we've got a couple of senior players in this squad that have been rumored to be cleared out. All right, we have Varane, Casemiro, Ericsson. Obviously, these guys have been a very big, important part to our success at this club ever since they've joined. And success, I mean, in these little improvements that we've made, winning the trophies last season, getting to the positions that we got to. So yeah, man. These players, obviously, some of them on big contracts. This whole philosophy of not trying to bring in this profile of player. These ones in particular because they're old. Even though they've been doing wonders for this team. We can't be delusional thinking that these guys are gonna be here for the next 3 to 5 seasons doing it for us. They need to be replaced, whether we like it or not, and the sooner the better. You know, so yeah, man. Luke Shaw has also been thrown into the mix because I think of late he's just become very injury prone, and I have a feeling it's during that time Mourinho, when he got that really 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 crazy injury. I don't think he's really 100% recovered from that, and maybe I could be wrong. Maybe this new injury that or this current injury that he has is a new one from that one that he got the last time. But I sort of have a feeling it's just
a
it's it's
recurring thing.
it's it's still it's a recurring thing, right? And it looks like he's also a player that is now what almost 30 years old and would soon need to be replaced. And obviously Malasia is not that profile or caliber of player. He's a good um temporal player, to come in as a substitute or someone that we can play in maybe smaller games or stuff like that. But as an established left back, he's definitely not the one to immediately replace Luke Shaw if he needs to be sold. So yeah, man. here's we're just playing devil's advocate over here. If all these players had to leave next season, how would that impact the squad? You know,
It would
how
impact
would
us badly.
mm,
It will be bad
yeah,
if we're not, especially if we're not going to replace them with top quality players. It
exactly.
will be bad. The
Yeah,
reason, one of the things in a team that lacks a lot of leaders, you need some sort of seniority in there. And the players that we want to get rid of are all seniors. Like the
yeah,
players that are tipped to leave: Varane, Casemiro, Eriksen, Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, obviously, we mentioned Luke Shaw because, like you said, lately this injury thing is starting to become an issue. And the sole fact that
yeah,
Tyrell Malacia is not even anywhere near the mix is
mm,
even more concerning. We need to look at that left back position, whether Luke Shaw gets better or not, but we need to. That one is just
yeah,
something that I thought about the other day, and I was like, this is a problem. This is a
mm,
problem because we're now putting Lindelof there.
yep,
If let's say Wan Bissaka was fit, Dalo will be there. And if Dalo has a
yeah,
bad game, we go in on him. Or if Wan Bissaka has a
mm,
bad game playing on the left, we go in on them. So we need to fix that position and get a new left back. Varane.
yeah,
Varane is 31. 30,
mm,
31. I still
yeah,
think that we can have 2, 3 years in there, albeit he's also
yeah,
an injury prone player. But if we're going to bring somebody in that's going to, um, like a top defender, cool. But I still wouldn't get rid of Varane because Varane is a
yeah,
leader. Here's
yeah,
my. I remember I was watching Graham Stewart, one interview or something that he was talking about. He's a legend, He's albeit
yeah,
he's a scouser, but he says some
yeah,
very interesting things. And he was talking about a team needing like the older players, basically,
yeah,
like a player
yeah,
that has been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Like you can't have a
yeah,
team full of youngsters, full of people that they've not grown together. Not that they've not grown together, but they've not won stuff together. They don't have that mentality of taking it far. You
yeah,
always
yeah,
need that kind of player. And I believe
yeah,
Casemiro, because his contract is still on, because Casemiro, we got him on a very good big contract, because I think it was like 4 years, 5 years. The only problem is that he's old and he was a reject.
yeah,
But then when you look at
yeah,
what he's going to offer us, United,
yeah,
way bigger,
mm,
because we can add a defensive midfielder who will be there with Kobe or whoever midfielder will be there. But then the sole fact that Casemiro is part of that whole thing is just like, how we talked about, although it flopped badly, how we thought about
mm,
Ronaldo was going to have this impact in players. His
yeah,
presence was just going to galvanize guys. It was going to give them, elevate their level. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's the same philosophy when it comes to senior players who have a lot of experience. So if we had to get rid of all these players, bro, and I think in particular, Ericsson, I think I'm comfortable letting go of Ericsson because,
yeah,
not that I don't want to take anything away from him, but we never got the best years of
yes,
Ericsson.
version, yeah,
We
yeah,
never got the best. We got the champagne football Ericsson,
yeah,
like maestro that is
mm,
just coasting through football. He still got it,
yeah,
but then we need more than that. So
true,
Ericsson, I don't wanna add him in there. But then you look at Luke Shaw, because we don't have a full left back, like a proper left back. I don't know where
yeah,
Fernandez is, or Fernandez, where we're not bringing him back or trying to fix that thing, beats me. Then you take Varane, because now we've got Maguire, Evans, who else? Leach. Evans is
yeah,
35. He's
mm,
playing good, but he's 35. And he also has his things of
yeah,
injury. Maguire has had a decent season. Like, I'm not taking that away from him. I don't know how
yeah,
that's going to be next season. I don't know if he's going to
yeah,
continue being Harry Maguire. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go
yeah,
back default setting. I don't know. But then we need to add that, because Varane and Licha, you're going to get consistency. Now, if Licha is injured and Varane is not, he's the oldest, but you're not picking him because You get
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I'm going with
No,
this.
I get you.
So
Yeah.
those senior
Yeah.
players, in as much as we should get rid of them, I think we need to exercise patience because if we're not going to bring back like for like senior experienced sort of hungry players in those positions, we're gonna suffer. Because you look at those
True.
games where Bruno throws the towel. If Bruno throws the towel, you know you've got Casemiro. Casemiro will snap him back into it. Yo, dude, the fuck are you doing? Pass. Varane
Yeah.
will be there. Hey, hey. But then if there's no Varane, there's no Casemiro.
Yeah.
Scott McTominay telling Rashford to what? To run? Or
Yeah.
Evans, there's that thing. There's players in there that are going to try and push the team where it needs to go. So, in
Yeah.
terms of these players being let go, cool, let's let them go because you're trying to fix the team. But then
Rebuild.
don't
Yeah.
do it in such a way like last time when you got rid of Chris Smalling, didn't replace him,
Mm.
you struggle for a defender. You get rid of
Yeah.
Ander Herrera,
Herrera.
you don't replace him. You get rid of
Mm.
Cristiano Ronaldo, you don't replace him. You understand? All
Yeah.
these things
Yeah.
you need to replace. Now, that's my thing. But I don't want to. Casemiro, I'd rather
Mm.
he can walk for free for me. Honestly, I don't mind because he's also
Yeah.
looking like getting into that sort of.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
Yeah.
decline. He still got it because CDMs
Yeah.
play until 34, 35, even 36
Mm.
CDMs. But there's evidence that he's slowing down, and as a
Yeah.
club that's going through this rebuild, this new thing,
Mm.
you obviously want to put somebody new. That Kobe is
True.
now exhibiting box to box qualities, so we need to have a, a specialist CDM. Do you understand what I
Yeah.
mean? Because Casemiro is a
Yeah.
specialist CDM. Kobe
Yeah.
can be a specialist CDM and can be a specialist box to box in between.
Yeah.
But because we are thinking of the future, we need to get a specialist CDM in that position so that Kobe can have the choice to decide whether he wants to be that register or that box to box or whatever, the
Yeah.
anchor. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's my
No,
take
I
on
hear
it.
you. I hear you.
It's
I
not
hear
too
you.
much,
And
but Luke
yeah.
Shaw,
Yeah.
we need. Varane,
Yeah.
we need. Casemiro,
Yeah.
we need. Ericsson, eh,
Yeah.
Ericsson is falling down the pecking order. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
True.
behind
True.
Tomine, so
Yeah. But yeah,
mm,
man. Nah, I hear you. All right. And now, enough about the future. Let's get back to present time.
mm,
The season, man. Season and
yeah,
prediction.
it's my
What are
favorite
your
part of
thoughts?
the.
This one I'm gonna let you lead. It seems like I've been leading these ones. These ones when I hear your first initial thoughts before I jump into mine. So you give me your thoughts on season summary. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
how are you feeling at the moment? With our season so far. What are your predictions? To what's to come. And you can
um,
decide how you want to answer this, like towards the end of the season, in the next 10 games, whatever.
mm,
And yeah, like I said, right now we're currently in sixth place.
yeah,
We've got one, what you call this? Goal difference is one. We've lost 9 games, drawn two, won 14. We've got 44 points. We are sitting 5 points behind Villa and 2 points, 3 points, sorry, behind Spurs. So
mm.
yeah, man, go for it.
Bruh, hearing that, seeing where we are, for me, it's just validation. It's
Yeah,
just been like I have just been like it's crazy by myself. I've just been like, you see, I wish people can see this, what I am seeing. Like, I
yeah,
get it. Now, at the same time, you know, I'm not naive to the situations. Like, I know we can get smacked up. I know. But what I like is that, oh, no, one of the things that I mentioned is that, you know, one of the reasons why United dropped was because of injuries, right? Now,
yeah,
when during the height of like at its peak, when with injuries and what, yes, we're losing. Did you notice that everybody else had their team? Like they were good. And then I
yeah,
remember having this conversation. I think I had this conversation with you, D, where I was like, I don't know if it was this season or last season, but I was like, everybody is going to go through their own share of
Yeah.
issues. How they are
Yeah.
going to go through them is yet to be seen. But I
Yeah.
don't believe we are the only ones that are going to go through this injury crisis. And what is
Yeah.
funny about this season is that teams that had injury problems in the beginning, like earlier than others, their players are coming back, and those that didn't, their players are injured, and it's like a little sort of interchange
Yeah.
cycle. It's weird. So, you look at Liverpool now. Liverpool have gone back to injuries, like they've got
Yeah.
problems, and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, is this the thing that's going to derail your title chant? Because
Yeah.
Liverpool, yeah, but then now Nunes, Sobotlai, Gravenberch, what their injury, Jota,
Trent.
their players are injured. And it's like, does that
Yeah.
mean that Liverpool are shit? No. They just have to
Mm.
now figure out ways on how to fix the situation. You know,
Yeah.
I laughed because Barcelona was playing, sorry, who were they playing?
When
They
they
were playing
lost,
Lazio. No, they didn't lose. They won.
they.
The Champions League. Champions
Oh,
League.
Champions League. Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry. Sorry.
yeah. And I was looking at the squad. Christensen was in the midfield with Gundogan
Mm.
and freaking Donny De Jong.
De
Now,
Jong. Yeah.
in that particular moment when I saw that, I didn't want to make noise. I asked myself questions like, in what world is Christian Eriksen a midfielder? That guy's a defender. But
Christensen.
then manages, you remember Christensen, the
Yes. Yes.
defender
Yes.
from
Yes.
Chelsea. Yeah, he was playing in the midfield.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
our CDM. He was a Barcelona CDM in that game. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Where are all these? But it's injuries. Managers chop and change, fix ideas. You work on things.
Yeah.
Now, when United do it, man, it's always a big deal. It's always,
Yeah.
oh my God, like somebody's died or something. Why can't the
Yeah.
manager just figure out something? Because he's working with what he's got. If he's not playing a certain player, either that player didn't make it in training or he's not fit enough. But then, oh, he doesn't fit the squad that he's doing, or he doesn't fit the system, or whatever plan that he has at that particular moment.
Yeah.
So I've always had this thing of like, when I see the reason why I never got very, very mad at certain losses and stuff was because I put myself in that scenario where I'm like, United were not that good enough. We're making do with what we have. We're really, really trying our level best to work with what we have. I mean, if
Mm.
Eric Ten Hag was given all the players at his disposal and we were in this position, I'll be the first one to say let's sack him. I'll be the
Yeah.
first one to say let's sack him because he has every
Yeah.
player at his disposal. Like everything
Mm.
that he wants is right there. He's got
Yeah.
no excuse. But he has excuses now. Injuries, red
Mm.
cards, this, drama, drama, drama. He has excuses. Now, my biggest reference was last season. Now, I could be naive in thinking that maybe last season was a fluke, but you can correct me or tell me. I don't know. Do you think last season was a fluke? Because if it was, then maybe I am wrong in the way I am looking at things. Because then I would have been like, that was a once off. Then I cannot expect the same thing. But for some reason, what I saw last season showed me that we have a good manager. We actually have the
Yeah.
players to actually go and compete.
Yeah.
So I'm taking reference from last season because we didn't really add too much to our season this season. We only added
Yeah.
Onana and Evans and
Hoyland.
Hoyland. Not too much, really
Yeah.
not too much. But the core of the
Mason.
team,
Mason Mount.
Mason Mount, yeah, but he's on the bench, like he's injured.
Yeah.
But you
Mm.
understand what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the core of the players is the same. Now the
Yeah.
players come in and then they do bullshit. This is why I was so pissed off at Rashford. This is why I didn't want to let go of Rashford because Rashford last season he got with the program. When he got his contract, he changed. Then he started doing his thing, and I'm like, this is bullshit. This is
Yeah.
this is disrupting progress. You understand?
Yeah.
Like I saw the trajectory. I did. Now you couple that with the manager not getting the players that he wants. Kim Min Jae, he went to Bayern Munich thinking he's gonna win the Bundesliga. He's going to lose it. He could have been helping us here in a more competitive league. You know, all
Yeah.
these other things that have been happening, De Jong not coming, all these things, bruh,
Mm.
they've they've been adding up. And this is why I was like, this United squad is good enough to compete. Unfortunately for us, we're not doing the right things to back this manager. If this manager was
Yeah.
properly backed this season, but I still think he wasn't properly backed. But if he was back properly backed this season, we would have been in a
Yeah.
better. This position that we're in right now is actually even better, con- considering the disaster start. Think about it. Think about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Mm.
And we are slowly getting there. You look at the games, the evidence is there. That game against Luton, on a normal day, Man United score those two goals, we lose the lead. And then we can even
Yeah.
lose at the end. But then you can see we are fighting.
Yeah.
We- Come on. And that's not enough for you to say, okay, let's get behind these boys, let's push them. Come on. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sitting here going to say, now we're going to go and smash this thing. Nah. I
Yeah.
like what Ten Hag said. Every game from now on is a cup final. So Man
Yeah.
City will play game cup final. Did we play Tottenham return game? We did, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Drew
we
with
did.
them.
Drew.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Which is good because we lost the first game, we drew. Man City beat us the first game, right?
Yeah.
We can't get a draw. We can't lose that game. Either a draw or win. Liverpool, the same thing. We drew with them. Either we beat them or we draw again. Like we need to improve the top six. We just need to improve on the results that we got in the first half. And we're going to be right there in the mix. And I believe
Yeah.
we will. I believe that this second half, like Man City, then they're not ready for this Man United that's coming to meet them.
Yeah.
They're not. They're not. Their first one that they did, they smacked up because it was a Pusio, but not this one. This one is different.
Yeah.
We've got guys back. If we lose, cool, we will lose with our heads held high, but we will analyze the game. We will see what went wrong. We will see whether the boys threw in the towel. We will see whether we were fighting till the end because you see, like that Liverpool game. That Liverpool game, man, in as much as people say, oh, Liverpool, they're unlucky, nobody gave us our flowers for defending very well. Those guys didn't get a sniff of our goal. And we're playing with Varane, like we're just playing with this makeshift defense. Nobody
Yeah.
gave us credit. Nobody gave us credit for holding this Liverpool side that has been averaging 3 goals for I don't know how long. But because it's Man United, because it's the rivalry, it's very easy for people to be like, you know. So if we
Yeah.
can get a result against Liverpool, get a result against Man City, get a result against
Mm.
Arsenal, which Arsenal are over. I told my dad, we're going to beat Arsenal. He said, we'll see. I said, we're going to beat you. You guys
Yeah.
won. You beat us cheaply the first half of the season.
Yeah.
And again. And those are I draw my energy and my confidence from those things. But again,
Yeah.
I encourage people to watch the football. Don't listen to people and then give a comment without watching us because it's very easy to be misled. You understand what I mean? So,
Yeah.
tell me that, I honestly think top four. We're gonna make top four. I really do.
Okay.
I'm. I can say I'm. I don't want to say I'm confident, but I think we are in the right position right now to claw our way back into that top four. I think we're gonna make top four. I don't think we'll be third, second. I don't think we're going to usurp any of those guys. But there is a possibility. The chances are there because it
Yeah.
just takes you to lose and draw, and then ask for us to win and win. I've always been going with this weird analogy. Tottenham, they dropped points. We won this
Yeah.
past game. What did that do for us? You look at West Ham, all these other guys. That I like how the big boys and like the small boys are now just saying, "Hey, go to your level. You are now down there. Stay there." You know, the West Ham,
Yeah.
the Everton, the Newcastle. I'm happy seeing them behind us. You know, I'm just like, stay there. That's where you
Yeah.
belong. But initially, in the beginning of
Yeah.
the season, everybody was thinking you guys are the next thing. Nah,
Yeah.
chill,
Yeah.
chill, 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 chill. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
where we are at.
Yeah.
And the top six, honestly, is going to be decided by those teams that have got depth in their squad. You don't have depth in your squad, you're not making top six. Forget it. Even top, I think even top. Let me say top four because
Yeah.
top four is creme de la creme. Let me say top four. If you don't make top four, it's because your 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 squad depth is not good enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. You need at least two teams. Because you look at Man City, with the Pep roulette that he did this past game week in these 2 game weeks. You understand what I mean? Having that
Yeah.
comfortability to do that, you need that if you want to mount a title chase.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still think we're gonna make top four. Um, we need to improve our goal difference. That's the only thing. But now with
Yeah.
Rasmus out, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he was our leader. You know, he was the guy I was looking at to to encourage the others. When I see Hoyland ticking, I feel like people are
Yeah.
going to feed off energies from him. So now that he's not there, I'm really curious to see how we're going to do against Fulham.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, I agree with you. I think you have summed it all up. I'm not gonna add anything to that. I think that will be a perfect way to end this episode.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, I agree with you. Maybe the only last little comment that I would say is that, yeah, top four is gonna be a scrap. It's 100% gonna be a scrap. I don't want to get ahead of myself now because of the injuries that we've sustained of late. So I'm gonna say probably fourth, fifth, and it all just depends on how quickly we can get our injured players back, into the squad, and also looking at players like Ahmed coming into the squad as well. But yeah, man, I think I'll leave it there. So yeah, man, that has been the
I have
catch
got
up.
one small question for you because
Oh,
it's something
all
that has
right,
been living with me. I
real,
know
real,
Ahmad.
real quick.
Yeah, I know Ahmad. We are trying to protect him. But do you
Yeah,
think Ahmad might suffer the same fate as Pelestri? Because I have this niggling feeling that Eric Ten Hag doesn't rate him. That's why he was sent to
I think
Granada.
you know
That's why.
what, nah, I think he rates him, but I think to your point is that I think he really sees the talent in man, so many academy players are coming to my head. Ahmed. I think he really sees the talent and potential in Ahmed that he's really protecting him, because I think like what you said, I think he really wants to start him when he's ready to start. Because I think he's gonna have that explosive energy that Kobe Mainu brought into the team when he was fully fit to start games. So I sort of think that's what's going to happen with Ahmed Diallo, that is going to be brought into the team when he's ready to explode onto the scene.
Nice,
So yeah,
nice.
but yeah, man, nah, thanks for that. And of course, this has been the catch up episode 2. We're trying a little bit something different. So yeah, man, big ups to you guys. We see you guys watching. In the beginning, we're a bit worried to shoot these long episodes because we thought, hey, man, who's gonna sit here for two? Oh, we see you guys watching, so we want to continue doing it. And
Thank
definitely
you.
want to be chopping it up, into little segments. So if there's maybe one particular thing that you'd want to watch, we'll definitely have like part of this episode that will be uploading individually. Also, next week we're gonna be try running one of our new segments as well. We're really looking forward to it. So stay tuned, subscribe if you're not, and we've got something really interesting coming up next week. And yeah, hey,
Yes,
man,
sir.
we're
Yes,
really
sir.
looking forward to it. But yeah,
Courtesy
with
of
that,
Pastor P.
100%.
I guess I
So
took
yeah,
it
with
for
that, yeah. Yeah,
it.
no worries, man. But yeah, guys, also I know we haven't been uploading so much onto the podcast streaming platforms, but we're definitely gonna get back into the habit of it. So for you guys who are listening on the streaming platforms, here on moving forward, we're gonna consistently post or upload on the platforms as well. But anyway, yeah, with that being said, we're Glory Reds and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.